Hi, welcome back. So this is the eventual data set after we have completed the first pillar of analysis on preparing the data set. You could see the variable has been normalized as well. So those are the total number of subjects or the students. We have like 91 students, the total number of the participants accordingly. There's one case have been dropped for compatibility and reliability reasons. So I had to eliminate that. So the first research question is to find out whether the demographic and the affecting variables affect the decision of the lifelong learner to drop out the lifelong training course or not. Now the second one is we want to figure out through the magnitude of that effect, how much it is, and whether they are actually could be used as a predictive model or not. Now in this book, our target only to answer this question, whether they have an effect or not. For the second question, this will be the actual focus for our next book, Prediction from the Start to the End. So let's go ahead and give an answer to the first question, whether the demographic and the affecting variables have an effect on the decision to continue or not. Now, basically, we know that we have selected three representative of demographic variables, and that is the gender, the age of the participant, and also whether the participant have early participated in training program or not. And then we have the affecting variables, anxiety, all the way to comfortability on a continuous scale, as we have earlier discussed, and they are normalized. And what we want to find out whether there is a relation between those and the actual status of continuing, as 1 or 0 had dropped out already. So let's first of all do the univariate analysis on essential. So we got basically two different types, continuous one, and then we get nominal one. Now you got two types of nominal, one of them only two possible outcome, either male or female, and the other kind of nominal, the pre-training, you've got three possible levels. So first of all, go ahead and do some general univariate analysis on each variable on its own descriptive model. So we got the age is continuous, and we got all those affecting variables as well. They are all continuous. All I have handled that we don't have any missing values. You can see all of them missing are zeros. Bring out the histogram. Maybe the age seems to be not completely normally distributed, but still it is fine to look at it from the different age. So you could see the 47 seems to be dominated among the 91 cases. That seems like people who maybe come from professional background or looking for a better opportunity by gaining this vocational training. It's quite obvious. Now look at the anxiety level. You see here is the potential by looking at this graph after we normalized the center around the mean. So you could see here the anxiety was normally distributed, and the level of stress seems to be not completely normal, but still it is okay. Well, the motivation had up to 4 different standard deviations from the mean. You could see it's squeezed completely towards the right hand side, the tail was. Well, the aptitude completely unnormal, the same as the plan, the expectation as well. Well, the excitement, it's okay. Comfortability as well, it's fine. But let's try to split them by status. 37 people had dropped out of the course and got 54 had continued. This is the statistical distribution. Now, the mean of the people seems to be, in terms of the age, there is quite a 5 years gap between them. Like if you consider this is 34 or 35, this almost 40. So it's like 5 years gap different between the two groups. Now it's very hard to yet to perceive this, but if you could look at the anxiety level in terms of people who dropped out, their anxiety seems to be up there. The people who continued, their anxiety seems to be very much less. That's why you see the negative here. Same the level of stress. The motivation, it's hard exactly to perceive, but still the people who continued, they have higher motivation than the people who didn't. The aptitude, no much difference. Their planning, for the course 0.2 or something different, still it's fine. Looking at the expectation, you could see the people who continued have higher expectation than the one who didn't. Also the level of excitement, well, it's very obvious. The excitement for the people who continued way higher than the people who dropped out. The level of compatibility as well. So I could say just by looking at this without further analysis yet, I can start to draw an image that really comfortability and excitement could take the expectation to my consideration. But stress, anxiety, age as well, those are really seems to be factors that might explain the difference between the two groups who dropped out, who continued. Let's go ahead now and look at the graphs. This is in terms of the age. Somehow there is kind of a differentiation between the two groups. Around this age of 20s or something, they're more likely to drop than the age of 40. But we can confirm that in further analysis, of course. The level of anxiety, very obvious. You see here is higher in terms of the people who continue, their level is less. Well, wow, the stress is quite obvious. The people who dropped out, they were stressed more than the people who didn't before they started course. Motivation, well, it's hard to tell yet, but still might be considered. But I don't think this is going to be really highly significant factor. Aptitude absolutely is very weak, seems to be not significant at all. They seems to be similar. Their planning as well doesn't seem so much different. Their expectation, well, it's again could be the expectation could be according to what I see here. Maybe looking at the people who continued, more likely to have a higher expectation than the people who didn't. The excitement, well, the excitement is quite a bit clear that the distribution is a different one. Their excitement was varied among the people who dropped out, but the people who didn't, the excitement was quite narrow, within a certain score. Comfortability as well. You could see a variation among the people who continued from the people who didn't. Well, this is just kind of a speculation in a sense, if you're well. You could also look at the bar plot if you wish. Well, in terms of the age, maybe that won't be so much intuitive to see it from here, but still say, okay, we can consider maybe the age. We need different kind of statistics to prove it has something to do with the difference between both groups. Anxiety. Wow, this is very obvious that the people who have continued have less anxiety than the people who didn't. So they have a higher anxiety, the people who really dropped out at this 0. In terms of the stress, less stress among the people who continued, higher stress among the people who didn't. The status of motivation, wow, it's quite obvious here. You see, the people who continued have a higher motivation than the people who didn't here. In terms of the aptitude, they were quite close to each other, not really different. Plan about the course, the people who continued have a higher reason or planning related to their future plan with the participant of course rather than the people who didn't. Seems the people who didn't, they were just like less concerned about future plan attached to the subject. In terms of the expectation, the people who continued have a higher expectation that they didn't, right? Excitement's way higher than the people who didn't. Their excitement was higher. Comfortability, again, the people who continued have a high level of being comfortable with the class before it starts more than the people who actually dropped out. So this is just a general view on each variable in terms of the groups that we were looking at. So now what I could do, I could further investigate now the nominal kind of variables like the gender retraining. So I would come to the frequencies. So let's try first with the binomial test. In the binomial test, we get the gender and we could see the proportions. So they are almost identical proportion. It's female 49, 42. That's why the significant level of way larger than 5% failed to reject the null hypothesis. So the proportion between them is equal. Now I could bring the chi-square for the pre-trained one. So what I could see here, that the proportion for the first time, the 1% or so, but the people who actually had this kind of a training at least once, they were 52%. And the people who had some of them more than one, they were like 38%. So you could see it's a significant difference in proportion between these three different levels. Set up on the plan, and we are ready to start using the descriptive model techniques. This is the univariate we explored, we see. Now we start to see the relations. All right.